JP Finlay, our Super Bowl random sighting
Yes.
on a bar corner.
Indy too.
And he's sitting here on the fan cam, Twitch, and YouTube. Good morning, man. How are you?
I'm good, fellas. What's going on?
Choppy, judge that light fixture in the back there. What do you think that is?
I gotta magnify this thing here.
Yeah.
Okay, nice little hanging little chandelier. Okay, those tassels, those crystal tassels behind there.
They're like the closest thing I could say is like shells. I didn't pick that thing out.
Yeah.
My wife picked that thing.
Yeah.
We also, you want to see some stuff?
Yeah.
We had a flood at our house.
Oh.
There's a live look at my kitchen right now.
Oh, wow.
Things are going great here.
Yeah, good spot for the fridge. I like it.
That's fantastic.
It looks like where the Commanders play.
That's right. Getting the new stadium as
Same
well.
amount of leaks.
So, JP, this is supposed to be one of the up-and-coming teams, and they're going to challenge the Eagles, and they're definitely going to be second place in the NFC East over the Cowboys. Where are the Commanders in terms of that path and that preseason hype?
I think if Jaden Daniels doesn't fumble with 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter on Monday Night Football, that's exactly what we're saying. He's a young player that really hasn't made those kind of mistakes ever in his roughly 20 NFL starts, and he did Monday night against the Bears. They didn't look great in that game, but they did enough to put themselves in position to win, and they were just undone by turnovers. So, I mean, for me, I'm sure you guys are the same. Like, fans tend to be so reactionary to every moment that occurs, and you got to try to be reactionary for a day or so and then zoom out and look at the big picture. And I think, Washington hasn't played as well as they could have, as they did in spots last year. But the far bigger problem for them is on the defensive side of the ball. They're getting into big holes early, to the point where I think if Dan Quinn wins the toss Sunday at Jerry World, he should take the football. Because the Commanders' defense on the first 2 drives of games over 6 games now has had 3 stops in 12 drives. In the last 2 weeks, they've given up 10 points on the first 2 drives. The Chargers got up 10-0, and last week the Bears. I mean, same thing. So it's I think defensively they've had really slow starts, but a lot of this boils down to one fumble on a slick field on a Monday night game. And I think if Jayden holds on to that ball, they kick a field goal, maybe go up what would have been, 5, and go on to win. And they are 4-2 and tied with the Eagles. That's kind of the conversation we expected to have.
We were concerned, at least I was, about maybe a sophomore slump for Jayden. In terms of any regression, where has he, if he has at all, regressed this year?
I would say he hasn't. Obviously, he missed 2 games with that knee injury. So, your sample size is a little smaller. But since he's come back from that knee injury, in the LA game, he was really, really good. And even in the Bears game, he made some great throws. He has kind of maybe started a little slow in some of these games. The interception in the first quarter last week to Chicago, that's just a throw he missed. He had Debo open if he threw it on time. He waited, didn't see the safety come down, and it was a pick in the red zone that cost him a chance at points. I would not say there's regression there. I think the regression is probably more Terry McLaurin related, just being injured. I mean, their offense is kind of a mess. You lose Austin Eckler in that Green Bay game for the season. You lose Terry the following week against the Raiders. Noah Brown, I doubt the Noah Brown saga really makes your guys' radar, but it's the first kind of definitive thing of the Adam Peters, Dan Quinn era. I'd say we could point to and say, okay, you guys messed something up here. You mismanaged this.
What happened?
Noah Brown. So Noah Brown's a receiver. He's a good number 3 receiver, right?
Yeah, we had him.
We drafted him.
Right, and then he was in Houston, landed up here, caught the Hail Mary. The guy will never buy a drink at DC again just for catching that Hail Mary, but he's always been hurt, right? So last year, he misses roughly a third of the season, has an internal organ thing, terrible. You hope he's okay. Comes back this year. We're in June, I think, at mini camp. Goes down screaming in pain, screaming in the cart up to the facility. They never give us any information because they don't have to, but it's pretty clear it's a lower leg, looks like a knee or a hamstring or something. Comes back, misses most of camp, eventually is back on the field for week 1 and 2, gets hurt week 2, Again, no information because that's how they operate. He misses 4 games and we were starting to ask, like, hey, did you consider IR for this? Like, he's missed a lot of time. Going into the 4th game, which is the Bears Monday nighter, they're like, no, we really feel like we can ramp it up this week. He practices for 2 days going into Monday night. Then he's a DNP on the Saturday before Monday. Doesn't play Monday night. So at that point, he's missed 4 games on the active roster. And then yesterday, they put him on IR. So he missed 4. Now he's out another 4. And DQ, to his credit, was like, yeah, hindsight's always 2020. We were really hoping we could get him back. Now he's going to miss it. It'll be at least 8, and maybe you take the over at that point. But the greater point is offensively, they're down a lot of weapons. They're relying on Luke McCaffrey, who's starting to make some plays for them, and Jalen Lane, who's a 4th-round rookie out of Virginia Tech that has real speed but just no real experience. Debo has been banged up. Debo's been very good, but you saw Monday night against the Bears, that heel injury. He had to come out, get it taped up a couple times. It was his least productive game. They're kind of missing some horses, and you wonder how they put together this receiver room, but really getting McLaurin back on the field would be massive, especially if they can get him for Dallas.
JP Finlay joining us here on 105 through the Fan. Okay, JP, so last year I felt like during the Lions-Commanders game, that felt like Cliff Kingsbury just like dropping his resume on the table for NFL teams and trying to say, all right, here it is. This is my job interview right here, what I'm going to do to these guys. So he's very competitive, it seems like, and somebody who's going to try to aggressively design and attack things with it. Where is he at right now in terms of the opinion on is the honeymoon period over, or are fans still really positive about him? Because here in Dallas, obviously, we have issues with guys who stress communication with their design, and that seems like something Cliff Kingsbury would be able to do.
For sure. There's a ton of movement at the line of scrimmage. And then I think one of the most creative things he does is in the run game, the way he has his O-line on the move. I mean, you see like the center pulling all the time. Like it's a really active, deceptive run game. Yeah, I think DQ actually said it this summer, more or less. I really like Dan. I'm sure you guys do too from his time down there. Like he's a super impressive dude and genuine. But sometimes it's like I kind of roll my eyes at some of this stuff in training camp. In training camp, they did what was called like the Brotherhood Battle, where because of like the zany preseason schedule, they had like 9 days without a preseason game. So he set up basically an inter-squad scrimmage on like one of the days in between. And in that scrimmage, he said, like, all right, I'm putting, some of my younger coaches are the head coaches for each roster. And he's like, I got to be prepared for when I lose guys. And to me, that's pretty obvious that. So Cliff is in the last year getting paid from his Cardinals deal as a head coach. I think, as that goes away, yes, he's like the thumbs up. Next year, that math changes significantly. For me, the question is, what job does Cliff want? Because he's going to have good options. I wouldn't go anywhere without the quarterback I want. And I just wonder if Cincinnati comes up, right? Like if you could be Kingsbury and go work with Burrow, or, I mean, who knows, by the time we get to December, January, what jobs could be floating around. But I think they fully expect Cliff to be gone. I imagine Cliff wants to start putting some more great offenses on tape this year to drive up that price tag even more.
So, JP, on paper, this just looks like the Commanders would run the football down the Cowboys' throat after what Rico Dowdle and others have done. What is his name? Ben or Billy? What's his nickname? What's this guy?
Bill.
Bill. Croskey-Merritt and the number one rushing offense, just run it down the throats of the Cowboys. Why doesn't that just decide what happens Sunday?
Well, I mean, the Rico Dowdle revenge game was a hysterical topic to me from afar.
Of course.
But you know what, dude? You're right. Like on paper, that's absolutely what should happen. But on paper, that's what should have happened Monday night against the Bears. And the Bears, now granted, they got a linebacker back healthy in TJ Edwards, who made a big impact in that game. But Washington couldn't get their run game going, period. The only real success they had on the ground was Jayden taking off out of the pocket, which could also happen in Dallas. But Bill did not get going in that game, had an early fumble. He's now fumbled in 2 consecutive games. So for all the excitement surrounding Bill, you kind of start to wonder if that's a question mark too. They should be able to run it. Dallas's defense is porous. They should have been able to run it against Chicago, and they couldn't. So we'll see.
JP, you guys, Dallas is finally starting to get healthy. It was the first practice yesterday of the year where they didn't have a DNP in it. But you guys had 10 different players on it yesterday that were DNP. Who's on track to play, do you think, this week? Who are going to be some of the big guys that you think may be missing?
So DQ, a lot of those DNPs have become just standard, where most of those vets don't practice on Wednesday. And Washington's structure is pretty interesting. Wednesday tends to just be a jog through anyway. And then Thursday's like their big practice. Thursday's like their real push it physically, see where guys are at. So I think we're going to know a lot more. McLaurin is by far the biggest question mark, but he was a DNP all last week. And then yesterday he was a limited. So that's at least trending the right direction. Debo was a DNP. That kind of seems to be where Debo is, that they don't feel he needs to practice to play. I could see him getting a limited today or tomorrow, so that, that they then play him and don't have to face like the NFL finding them or something. One to watch is Dorrance Armstrong. Dorrance has been really good. You guys know him, obviously. He's been their best defensive player so far this season. Really stout against the run. I believe he has 6 sacks through 6 games. Dorrance is dealing with a hammy. He had to come out of that Bears game twice. Now, he was able to go back in, but he was a DNP yesterday, and DQ gave some even for him, who provides no injury information, gave a really tepid endorsement of what's going to happen with Dorrance. We got to wait and see there. Their injury situation is significant. A lot of those veterans you see on there, like Ertz, Wagner, Von Miller, those guys just don't practice on Wednesday. So that's a nothing. But the Debo, Dorrance, Terry category, and Chris Rodriguez is a back that's had some success. He didn't get a carry Monday night. He was a DNP all last week. He was a DNP yesterday, I believe, whatever he's dealing with in his calf. The flip side, though, one thing I feel pretty good just talking with sources inside that building. I think Sam Cosmi makes his season debut on Sunday against Dallas. He's a good player.
JP Finlay, sister station, The Fan in D.C., NBC5 on television, joining us for the Commanders preview. You had talked about the defensive struggles early on in games. What specifically is wrong or plagued the Commanders' defense?
That's a good question. Secondary they've given up explosives, coverage busts. They cannot defend crossing routes. And, that really became apparent that if you go back a month now, the Thursday nighter in Green Bay, they just crossed them up all day. And it's there's real questions about the linebacker speed underneath. And then, so if they play it to the boundary, then the seams come open, and your guy Ferguson could really eat, I would think, in this game. Secondary has been a significant problem. Marshawn Lattimore, it's been up and down. Mikey Samerstill was a rookie last year who bounced around a little bit, but just because of injuries ended up playing outside. This year he's been more of their slot guy, which was always the plan with him. And there's a decent chorus of people wondering if he shouldn't go back outside and try to figure out the slot position in a different way. I do have a rookie, Trey Amos, who's played really well. Second-round pick. But, dude, if you did a poll of people up here, they're terrified of Pickens, and it looks like CD's playing, right? And the level Dak is playing, there's real concern about explosive plays in the pass game. And then their run defense has been super spotty. It's Javon Kinlaw's a dude they spent real money on in the offseason to bring to town. He has been excellent in spots, and he and Daron Payne have dominated games. They dominated against the Raiders, dominated against the Giants. In their wins, Kinlaw and Payne set the tone in the middle. I asked Javon yesterday, it was a pretty good line that I can't say all of it, but I asked him, I was like, hey, when you watch the tape for Dallas, what are they doing so well? And his response was, they blocking like a mother bleep. Oh.
in the run game, they are. How is Washington's pass rush been overall? Because that's an issue that feels like week to week we don't have any clue how well Dallas is going to block. Some weeks they'll have a lot of time for Dak. Others he's kind of fighting for his life.
I would kind of say the pass rush has been similar. Like some weeks they've had games with 5, 6 sacks. They've had games with one. To me, it's more about consistent pressure, and that pressure has to come from the interior, specifically Kinlaw Payne. They've got a second-year player in Johnny Newton who's been providing some good rush. But Dorrance Armstrong's a big part of that too, man. He's been really good off the edge. Frankie Louvu, if you remember from last year, Louvu had like a real pass rushing presence. His role is kind of changed in a way. Like he's in coverage more, which I don't think is necessarily playing to his strengths, but I think teams are kind of game planning more for him, where he was seeing a lot more chips and just a lot more action from the offensive line. So they're trying to free him up in ways. Pass rush has been, I mean, they're 3-3. It hasn't been great. It's been inconsistent, but at times it's been pretty good.
JP, last one for you. No organization has probably had the word culture attached to them more than you guys with the whole Snyder takeover and now Dan Quinn. And culture was the big word for us this offseason. Some people love it. Some people roll their eyes at it. You're also an insider who is checking in with people. How has it been different post-Snyder? Has the culture thing been a real thing? You roll your eyes at it a little bit more. What has it been like and what's permeated through the organization with Josh Harris?
I mean, it's night and day different, honestly. It's so significant just there was a level of just straight up cheapness. I don't know if there's a better word for that. Just like the organization was super cheap in everything they did and everything they operated, and they overhauled the locker rooms. Like they just invested for the players to not hate it. Like going back in time, I remember players used to prefer playing on the road because they were like wow. the fans that are on, because there's Skins fans everywhere, and the fans that were at road games tended to be like way more positive than the crowd that was at home, just because the crowd at FedEx, now Northwest Stadium, was just so miserable and fed up. Like all of that has changed. The tone and the vibe around fans has all changed. Now, a lot of that helps you make a playoff run last year, and you got what looks like a star young quarterback. It's still pro football. Like you guys know, I mean, you guys certainly know what those Jerry interviews every week, but like there are friction points between the media and the team you cover. But the level of professionalism, and like, as an example, I'm sure you guys, I know Bobby has been to FedEx, now Northwest Stadium. It's easily the worst stadium in the NFL. And they got legislation done. They're moving to a new RFK Stadium, which will be super, super dope, back downtown where it should be. But with that all said, this summer I had to go out there for something, and they're spending millions of dollars to upgrade the infrastructure, even though they're hopefully moving out in 5 seasons. And that's just because they know how awful it is, and they still have to be there and try to give their fans a decent product. And like, I can't imagine there's much return on that investment, but it's more of we got to operate this at the right standard.
Is that PR guy Tony Wiley still there?
No, he's been gone. He's been gone a while now. I'd say like 3. I don't know that Wiley was there for COVID. He might have been there. He might have left pre-COVID.
Yeah, he was a clown, so good. Hey, fantastic. What's that?
Tony was Tony, man. He and I had some run-ins, but he did a lot of good too.
Thank you. Fantastic preview, and appreciate the extra step of hopping on the Fan Cam, Twitch, and Zoom. I'll talk to you in a couple hours. Thank you.
All right, guys. Yeah, thanks for joining us later.
There it is. JP Finlay from Odyssey, DC.